The space station floated silently near the edge of the red nebula. Its lights were dim, and many corridors were empty. This place was not safe anymore. Most traders had already left. Only shadows remained. Inside one of the lower levels, a young vampire alien girl leaned against a cold metal wall. Her skin was pale, almost silver. Her breathing was weak. Her eyes, once bright crimson, were now dull and unfocused. She was dying of thirst. Her species needed blood to live. Not much, just enough. But the galaxy feared her kind. Vampire aliens were hunted, banned, and killed on sight. Every station had laws against helping them. And here, on this forgotten station, she had run out of time. She pressed her hand against her chest, trying to slow her racing heart. Each second burned like fire inside her veins. The hunger was painful, sharp, and endless. She had been hiding for days, moving only when the station grew quiet. No blood, no help, only fear. Footsteps echoed far away. Her body froze. She pulled her hood lower and stepped into the darkness. If guards found her, she would be dead. Not later. Not arrested. Dead. The footsteps came closer. A human man walked into the corridor, carrying a small tool bag and a weak light. He was not a soldier, not a guard, just an explorer, checking damaged systems before leaving the station. His face looked tired, but calm. He stopped suddenly. He felt it. The air was cold. Too cold. The vampire girl held her breath. Her instincts screamed at her to run, to attack, to drink. But she had no strength left. Even moving hurt. The human lifted his light. Their eyes met. For one long second, the corridor was silent. The human's heart jumped. He knew the stories. Everyone did. Red-eyed predators. Night killers. Monsters who drank blood. But what he saw was not a monster. He saw a young girl shaking against the wall. He saw pain, fear, weakness. The vampire girl waited for him to scream. He didn't. He waited for him to run. He did n single quotes t. Instead, the human slowly lowered his light. You look hurt, he said softly. His voice was steady, but his hands shook a little. The vampire girl's lips trembled. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. Her fangs showed slightly as she struggled to breathe. Stay back, she whispered. Please. Her words surprised him. She was afraid. The human took one careful step back, giving her space. I won't come closer, he said. I just want to help. Help. The word felt unreal. Her hunger roared inside her head. The smell of his blood filled the air, warm, alive, so close. Her body reacted against her will. Her eyes glowed brighter for a moment. She turned her face away. You should go, she said. If I lose control, I won't stop. The human swallowed. Every rule in the galaxy told him to leave. Every warning screamed danger. But something stronger held him there. He saw someone dying. Slowly, carefully, he set his tool bag down. What's your name? He asked. She hesitated. Lyra. I'm Evan, he said. Lyra, how bad is it? She laughed weakly. I will be dead soon. Evan's chest tightened. He thought of all the times humans were judged by others. Called weak. Called foolish. Yet humans survived by making impossible choices. He took a deep breath. Is it blood? He asked quietly. Lyra's eyes snapped back to him. Fear and shock filled her face. No, she said quickly. I won't hurt you. I know, Evan replied. But is that what you need? She closed her eyes. A single tear slid down her cheek. Yes. The word barely escaped her lips. Silence filled the corridor again. Evan's mind raced. Alien laws. Death sentences. Warnings. Fear. Then he remembered something simple. Choice. He stepped closer slowly, carefully. Lyra gasped. What are you doing? She whispered, panic rising. Evan stopped an arm's length away. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. He raised his hand, then lowered it again, unsure. I trust you, he said. Lyra shook her head. You shouldn't. Maybe, Evan said gently. But I choose to. With trembling fingers, he moved his collar aside, and then he did the unthinkable. He offered his neck. Lyra's eyes widened, in horror. No human as ever, she whispered. Her hunger screamed. Her body leaned forward without permission. She covered her mouth, shaking violently. Evan closed his eyes. If you're watching this story and enjoying it so far, a gentle reminder whispered through the moment. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps these stories continue. Lyra stared at the human standing before her, calm and unarmed, offering his life to save hers. Everything she knew about humans shattered in that second, and as her fangs slowly lowered, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Lyra's whole body trembled as she stood inches from the human. His neck was right there, warm, alive. The hunger inside her screamed louder than any alarm. It begged her to drink, to survive, to stop the pain burning through her veins. But fear held her back. You don't understand, she whispered. If I start, I may not stop. Evan opened his eyes slowly. His throat was dry. His heart was racing so fast he felt dizzy. Still, he did not move away. I understand enough, he said. You're dying. That word hit Lyra like a blade. Dying. She had run across half the galaxy to escape that fate. She had hidden, starved, suffered. And now survival stood in front of her, offered freely by a species her people were taught to fear. Her fangs lowered slightly without her command. She gasped and turned her head away again, pressing her back against the wall. Please, she said. Step back. I can't trust myself. Evan hesitated for a second. Every instinct told him to listen. But another thought pushed forward. If he stepped back now, she would be dead within minutes. He slowly sat down on the floor, leaning against the wall, making himself look smaller, weaker. Then don't come to me, he said quietly. I'll stay here. Lyra looked at him in confusion. If you choose, Evan continued, his voice calm but tight, you can take what you need. If not, at least you won't be alone. The words broke something inside her. Vampire aliens lived long lives, but loneliness was their curse. Feared everywhere, welcomed nowhere. She took one shaky step forward. Then another. Each step felt like a crime. Against the galaxy, she knelt in front of him, her hands clenched into fists so tight her nails cut into her skin. Her breathing was fast and uneven. Her eyes glowed bright red now, reflecting hunger, fear, and something else she did not understand. Evan swallowed hard. He did not pull away. Just a little, she said, more to herself than to him. Just enough. He nodded once. Lyra leaned closer. She could hear his heartbeat now. Strong, steady, human. The sound filled her head, drowning out every warning she had ever learned. Her lips brushed his skin. Evan shivered. Her fangs touched his neck. Sharp and cold. She froze. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, very gently, she bit. Pain flashed through Evan's body, sharp but brief. He sucked in a breath, gripping the floor with his fingers. He did not scream. Warm blood filled Lyra's mouth. Life rushed into her like a storm. The hunger eased instantly, replaced by strength so sudden it made her gasp. Color returned to her skin. Her shaking slowed. Her heart steadied, but something else came with it. Images, feelings. She saw memories that were not hers, blue skies, laughter, fear, hope. She felt courage mixed with doubt, kindness layered over exhaustion, a quiet, stubborn will to protect even when afraid. Human emotions. They flooded her senses. Lyra pulled back with a sharp cry, breaking the contact. Evan slumped slightly, but remained conscious, breathing hard. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I took too much. Evan shook his head weakly. You're okay? She stared at her hands in disbelief. They no longer trembled. She felt strong, alive. Yes, she whispered. I am? A sudden loud sound echoed through the corridor. Metal doors slid open at the far end. Red warning lights flashed. Lyra's head snapped up. Her ears caught voices, alien voices, sharp and alert. Security patrol, she hissed. They will sense me now. Evan tried to stand, but nearly fell. Lyra caught him easily, her new strength surprising even herself. You're hurt, she said. I live, Evan replied, though his vision blurred. But we need to move. Heavy footsteps grew closer. Lyra's mind raced. If they were found together, the guards would kill her instantly. And the human? He would be punished for helping her. Maybe worse. She made a decision. Wrapping one arm around Evan, she pulled him into the shadows of a side corridor. The movement was fast, silent. Too fast for a starving vampire, but she was not starving anymore. Guards rushed past seconds later, their scanners glowing. One of them paused. I sense blood. The guard said suspiciously. Lyra held her breath. Evan did too. After a tense moment, the guard shook his head. False reading. Let's move. They were gone. Lyra exhaled slowly. She looked down at the human she was holding. You saved me, she said softly. And now, I am bound to you. Evan frowned. Bound? She nodded, eyes dark with new understanding. Human blood is different. It creates a link. Before Evan could ask more, the station lights flickered violently. An explosion echoed somewhere above. The station was failing. And now, the galaxy was hunting them both. The space station shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling, and distant metal groaned like something wounded and angry. Emergency lights flashed red, then white, then red again. Lyra tightened her grip around Evan as the floor vibrated beneath their feet. We cannot stay here, she said. The station core is unstable. Evan nodded slowly. His head still felt light, and his neck throbbed where she had bitten him. He touched the spot carefully. Warm blood stained his fingers, but the bleeding had already stopped. You healed me? He asked, surprised. Lyra glanced at him. Your blood did more than feed me, she said quietly. It changed things. They moved through a narrow service tunnel, away from the main corridors. Lyra led the way, her senses sharp now. She could hear distant alarms, feel energy flows inside the walls, and sense living beings far away. And she could feel Evan. Not his thoughts, but his presence. Like a soft light beside her. This should not be possible, she thought. They reached a small maintenance room and stopped to rest. Evan leaned against a crate, breathing slowly. Lyra stood guard near the door. You said my blood creates a link, Evan said. What does that mean? Lyra hesitated. Vampire alien teachings were strict. Their secrets were never shared with outsiders, especially humans, but he had offered his life to save hers. Our kind survives by blood, she began. But most species are poison to us. Animal blood is weak. Synthetic blood is empty. Only some species are compatible. Humans? Evan asked. Yes, Lyra replied. But not like this. She turned to face him fully. Human blood carries strong emotions, choice, will. When we drink it freely given, Not stolen? It binds us. Evan frowned. Binds how? Lyra lowered her eyes. I feel your pain, your fear, and your strength. It flows into me. As if to prove her point, Evan suddenly winced, pressing a hand to his chest. The earlier blood loss caught up with him, making his heart race. Lyra gasped. The pain hit her too dull, but clear. She stepped forward quickly. Sit, she ordered, helping him down. That's new, Evan said weakly, trying to smile. Lyra's expression darkened. This bond was forbidden long ago. It is why my people were hunted. Other species feared what we could become. What is that? Evan asked. She looked away. More than monsters. A loud crash echoed nearby. Lyra's head snapped toward the sound. They are searching level by level. Evan pushed himself up. Is there a way off the station? Yes, Lyra said. A small escape hangar. Old, unused. They moved again, faster now. The station lights failed completely, leaving only emergency strips along the floor. Smoke filled the air. As they ran, Evan noticed something strange. Lyra, he said between breaths. You're different. She glanced back. How? You're faster, he said. Stronger. And your eyes, they glow brighter, she finished. I know. She hated the truth forming in her mind. Human blood did not just heal her, it awakened something. They reached the hangar door, large, rusted, half-powered. Lyra placed her hands on the metal and pushed. The door moved. Evan stared. That door weighs tons. Lyra stepped back, shocked at her own strength. This should not be possible. Before they could react, harsh white lights flooded the hangar. Do not move. A voice shouted. Alien guards emerged from behind cargo crates, weapons raised. At least 6 of them. Maybe more. Evan slowly raised his hands. Lyra stepped in front of him without thinking. The guards froze. A vampire, one hissed. And a human. Kill the vampire, another said. The human is a traitor. Lyra felt Evan's fear spike. It echoed inside her chest. No, she said sharply, surprising even herself. You will not touch him. The guards laughed. You are alone, the leader said. Weak, outnumbered. Lyra's eyes burned red. She could feel Evan's courage pushing against her fear. His calm steadiness filled her veins. She stood taller. I am not. Alone, she replied. One guard fired. Moved before she thought. She caught the energy blast in her hand and crushed it into sparks. Silence fell. The guards stared in disbelief. That is impossible, someone whispered. Lyra looked at her glowing hand, shaking. This power, it comes from him. Evan's eyes widened. Before anyone could react, the station shook violently again. The ceiling above the guards cracked, metal screaming as it fell. Run! Evan shouted. Lyra grabbed him and sprinted toward the escape ship. Alarms screamed. Guards shouted. Fire burst behind them. They reached the ship and sealed the door just as debris smashed into the hangar. The engines whined but did not start. Lyra slammed her fist against the controls. The ship is too old. Outside, the guards regrouped. Evan looked at Lyra. Blood loss making his vision blur. Looks like, he said softly. We're not done yet. Lyra met his gaze. Fear and determination burning together. No, she said. This is only the beginning. The escape ship shook as another explosion rocked the hangar. Sparks fell from the ceiling inside the cockpit, and warning lights flashed across the control panel. The old engines coughed, then went silent again. Lyra slammed her hand against the console in frustration. Come on. Please, she whispered. Outside the ship, alien guards regrouped quickly. Heavy boots hit the metal floor in perfect rhythm. Weapons charged, glowing brighter with each step closer. Evan struggled to keep his balance, holding on to a support rail. His face was pale now. The blood loss was catching up with him faster than he wanted to admit. "They're coming," he said quietly. Lyra turned to him. Her sharp senses picked up his weakening heartbeat. It echoed inside her chest like her own. Fear rushed through. Her not fear for herself. Fear for him. The hangar door began to open again, slowly, deliberately. The guards wanted to end this face-to-face. Lyra's hands clenched into fists. She could fight. She knew that now. The strength in her body was real. But if she attacked, the guards would focus all their fire on Evan Dot. She looked at him, sitting weakly against the wall of the ship. A memory from her people surfaced. An old teaching whispered to vampire children. Hunters protect themselves. Monsters feed. But guardians choose to stand in front. She stepped out of the ship. Evan's eyes widened. Lyra, don't. She turned back once, her expression calm but determined. Stay inside, she said. No matter what happens. Before Evan could argue, she sealed the ship door behind her. The guards froze when they saw her walk forward alone. So the vampire offers herself, the leader said. Wise, Lyra lifted her chin. Let the human go. The guards laughed again. He helped you, one said. He dies with you. Lyra felt Evan's fear spike sharply. It burned inside her. Without thinking, she moved back in front of the ship door, spreading her arms wide. Then you go through me, she said. The guards hesitated. This was not what they expected. One fired a warning shot that scorched the floor near her feet. She did not move. Another guard raised a heavier weapon. Evan watched from inside the ship, his heart pounding. He knew what she was doing. She was becoming a shield. No, he whispered, pushing himself to his feet. Outside, the heavy weapon fired. Lyra reacted instantly. She crossed her arms, energy flashing across her skin. The blast hit her full force, throwing her backward. She slammed into the ship hull, hard enough to dent it. Evan cried out. Smoke cleared slowly. Lyra pushed herself up on shaking arms. She was hurt but standing. The guards stared in disbelief. She should be dead, someone whispered. Lyra looked at her bleeding arm. Pain spread through her, sharp and deep. Evan felt it too. He grabbed his chest, gasping. That was when he understood. If she fell, he would fall with her. The guards advanced again. Evan made a choice. He forced the ship door open and stumbled out, placing himself beside her. What are you doing? Lyra hissed. Standing with you, Evan replied, his voice weak but firm. The guards raised their weapons, confused now. A human defending a vampire? The leader said. How pathetic. Evan stepped forward, placing himself slightly in front of Lyra. No, he said. You've got it backward. The guards paused. I'm not protecting her because she's dangerous, Evan continued. I'm protecting her because she's alive. Silence filled the hangar. For a moment, even the station seemed to stop shaking. Then Lyra felt something change. The bond between them flared. Evan's courage surged into her like fire. She roared not in hunger, but in fury. With a sudden burst of speed, she leapt forward, disarming two guards before they could react. Energy weapons clattered across the floor. Another guard fired wildly, missing completely. The leader shouted orders. But it was too late. Lyra moved like a living storm, every strike precise, every motion driven by a power that did not feel like her own. It felt human. Within seconds, the guards were down. Stunned or unconscious, Lyra stood in the center of the hangar, breathing hard, her eyes blazing like red stars. Then she staggered. Evan rushed to her side, catching her before she fell. You're hurt, he said urgently. She nodded weakly. But We are alive. The escaped ship engines suddenly roared to life. Both of them looked back in shock. The old ship had restarted on its own. Or maybe. Lyra felt the bond pulse again. It responded to you, she said softly. To your will. They did not wait. Together, they boarded the ship and sealed the doors. The hangar fell away as the ship launched, tearing free from the dying station. Just as it began to collapse into itself, stars filled the IEWPORT. Silence followed. Evans slumped into the pilot's seat. Exhausted, Lyra sat beside him, watching the station disappear behind them. For centuries, she said quietly, my kind were hunters. She looked at him with something close to awe. Today, she continued, a human taught me how to protect. The ship jumped into hyperspace. And somewhere in the galaxy, unseen eyes had begun to watch. The stars stretched into long lines of light as the escape ship entered hyperspace. Inside the cockpit, everything was quiet except for the low hum of the engines and Evans' uneven breathing. Lyra watched him closely. His skin was pale again. His eyes were half closed. The bond between them pulsed weakly, like a fading signal. Every shallow breath he took sent a ripple of pain through her chest. He is dying, she whispered to herself. She moved quickly, guiding him to a resting chair near the medical console. The ship was old, but it still carried basic alien medical tools. Lyra activated the system with shaking hands. A soft blue light scanned Evans' body. Warning, blood loss critical. Lyra's heart tightened. This was her fault. She had taken his blood. She had used his strength. And now he was paying the price. I will not lose you, she said firmly. She opened a small compartment on her wrist. A thin crystal needle slid out ancient vampire technology, forbidden by most alien laws. It was designed to share life force, not steal it. If the bond truly went both ways, this would work. Lyra pressed the crystal gently against Evans' neck, just above the bite mark. Please, she whispered. Live. The crystal glowed deep red, then slowly shifted to a soft white. Energy flowed. Evan gasped sharply, his back arching as warmth spread through his body. His heartbeat strengthened. Color returned to his face. Lyra felt it too. Her own strength dimmed slightly, but the pain in her chest eased. After a few moments, Evan's breathing steadied. His eyes fluttered open. Lyra? He murmured. She let out a breath she did not know she was holding. You are safe. He looked around the ship, confused. Did we escape? Yes, she said softly. Because of you. Evan tried to sit up, but she gently pressed him back down. Rest. The bond is still stabilizing. He studied her face, noticing the tiredness in her eyes. You gave something back, didn't you? Lyra did not deny it. This bond is no longer one-sided. Silence filled the cockpit again, but it was different now. Calmer, warmer. After some time, Evan spoke again. What happens now? Lyra looked toward the stars outside the viewport. Now we are hunted. Evan sighed lightly. Figures. She allowed herself a small smile, then grew serious. My people will sense the bond, and the council will not ignore what I have become. What you've become? Evan asked. A symbol, Lyra replied. Or a threat? The ship suddenly beeped. A long-range signal appeared on the screen, encrypted, powerful, and unmistakably official. Lyra's expression darkened. That is a council beacon? Evan's stomach dropped. They already found us? Yes, she said. And they will not ask questions. The screen flickered, showing the faint outline of a massive alien fleet far away, but moving in their direction. Evan swallowed. That's a lot of ships. They are not here for you, Lyra said quietly. They are here for me. She turned to face him fully. I must surrender. Evan's head snapped toward her. No, if I do not, she continued, they will destroy every human vessel they find connected to this incident. That's insane, Evan said. I didn't even do anything wrong. That is not how the galaxy works, Lyra replied sadly. She stood and moved toward the control panel. Preparing to change course, Evan grabbed her wrist. The bond flared. Pain and emotion rushed between them, fear. Anger, trust. You don't get to decide this alone, Evan said firmly. You're not a monster. You're not their weapon. Lyra trembled. You do not understand the Council. Then they don't understand humans. Evan shot back. He stood despite the dizziness and faced her. Humans survive because we don't give up our people, he said. Not ever. Lyra searched his face, seeing nothing but truth. For the first time in her long life, someone was choosing her without. Tears formed in her eyes. The ship shook suddenly as a warning alarm blared. Incoming transmission. A cold, ancient voice filled the cockpit. Vampire Lyra of the Noctari, the voice said. You are ordered to power down and prepare for judgment. Lyra closed her eyes. Evan stepped closer. Standing at her side, whatever happens, he said quietly. We face it together. Lyra opened her eyes again, strength returning to her gaze. Yes, she said. Together. Outside, the alien fleet closed in, and the bond between human and vampire alien burned brighter than ever. The alien fleet surrounded the small escape ship like a wall of stars made of steel. Massive vessels blocked every direction. Their weapons glowed with silent power, ready to fire at a single command. Inside the cockpit, the warning alarms fell quiet. There was nowhere left to run. Lyra stood still, her face calm, but her hands clenched. The bond between her and Evan pulsed strongly now, no longer weak or unstable. It felt solid. Shared. The Council ship moved forward. It was enormous, ancient, dark, and covered in glowing symbols of authority. A beam of light wrapped around the escape ship, pulling it gently but firmly into a docking bay. The doors sealed shut. We are aboard the Council vessel, Lyra said softly. Evan took a slow breath. So this is judgment. The docking bay opened, and tall figures entered, Council guards in black armor, their faces hidden. Energy restraints snapped around Lyra's wrists instantly. Evan stepped forward. Hey, don't touch her. A guard struck him across the chest with a force pulse, sending him crashing to the floor. Lyra cried out, the pain echoing through the bond. Her eyes flared red. Enough, a deep voice commanded. The guards froze. From the shadows emerged the Council, itself 5 ancient alien beings floating above the floor, their forms wrapped in shifting light. Their eyes burned with cold intelligence. Vampire Lyra, one said. You are charged with forbidden bonding, violence, and contamination of a human. Evan pushed himself up painfully. She didn't contaminate me. I chose this. The Council turned their gaze toward him. A human, another voice said. Fragile, emotional, easily manipulated. Evan laughed weakly. You really don't know us. You offered your blood, the first Council member said. An act of weakness. The words struck deep. Lyra lowered her head, shame flooding her. Evan stepped forward again, despite the guards' weapons aimed at him. No, he said clearly. It was an act of choice. The Council paused. Humans are not weak, Evan continued, his voice growing steadier. We survive because we choose to help, even when it's dangerous. Especially when it's dangerous. Lyra felt his resolve surge through her like fire. The Council studied him in silence. You believe your emotions make you strong? One asked. Yes, Evan replied. Because they give us something you fear. And what is that? The Council demanded. Evan met their gaze without fear. Loyalty. The word echoed through the chamber. Lyra lifted her head. "Our bond did not make me a monster," she said firmly. "It made me more than I was." One council member drifted closer. "Your power has increased beyond all predictions." "Because it was freely given," Lyra replied. "Not stolen." Murmurs spread among the watching officials. The council exchanged silent signals. "Demonstrate," one commanded. "Prove this bond is not a threat." Without warning, energy surged toward Evan, designed to stop his heart. Instantly, Lyra screamed. The bond exploded with light. She broke free of the restraints, shattering them like glass. In one movement, she placed herself in front of Evan, absorbing the energy blast fully. She did not fall. The chamber went silent. Lyra stood glowing. Unbroken, her power steady and controlled. "I protect him," she said. "Because he protected me." The council stared. "This changes everything," one whispered after a long pause. The lead council member spoke again. "The galaxy has misunderstood humans," it said slowly. "And vampire kind." Evan exhaled shakily. "We will not execute you," the council continued. "But this bond, it will be watched." Lyra nodded. "We accept." The restraints vanished as they were escorted out. Evan leaned toward Lyra and whispered, "Guess we passed." She allowed herself a small smile. "No," she said softly. "We challenged them." And somewhere beyond the council walls, the galaxy began to change. The council chamber slowly emptied. The great doors closed behind Lyra and Evan with a deep, echoing sound. The guards no longer aimed their weapons. Their steps were slower now, careful, unsure. The decision had been made. Outside the massive viewport, stars drifted calmly, as if the galaxy itself was listening. Lyra stood tall, no longer hiding her glowing eyes. The bond between her and Evan felt steady and warm. It was no longer something to fear. The lead council member floated forward one last time. "Vampire Lyra of the Noctari," it said, "your execution is canceled. Your bond with the human will be recorded as a new category." Evan blinked. "A category?" "Yes," the council replied. "A living example." Lyra understood. "You will study us." "We will observe," the council corrected. "And learn." The words were heavy with meaning. The council turned to Evan. "Human, your species has long been classified as physically weak." Evan shrugged slightly. "We hear that a lot." The council paused. "That classification is incomplete." A quiet shock moved through the observers. "Humans possess something rare," the council continued. "The ability to choose sacrifice over survival. This makes you unpredictable." Evan looked at Lyra. "I'll take that as a compliment." For the first time, a council member showed something close to amusement. Moments later, Lyra and Evan were escorted back to their ship. No restraints. No threats. Only silence and watching eyes as the ship undocked. Lyra gazed at the council vessel one last time. "Do you think they will truly change?" She asked. Evan thought for a moment. "Maybe not fast." But ideas spread. The ship entered open space and turned toward human-controlled territory, traveled faster than any ship, across trading stations, military fleets, and hidden worlds. Whispers spread. A vampire alien who did not hunt. A human who offered his neck. An ancient law broken, not by force, but by kindness. Among vampire kind, Lyra's name became legend. She was no longer called cursed. She was called the bound one. Among humans, Evan became something else entirely. He was known as the one who offered his neck. Months later, the two stood on a peaceful station overlooking a blue star. Humans and aliens moved together in the halls, watching them with curiosity instead of fear. A young alien child pointed at Lyra. "Is she dangerous?" Lyra smiled softly and knelt. Only if you try to hurt someone I care about. The child laughed. Evan watched her, pride filling his chest. You've changed a lot of lives, he said. Lyra shook her head. We did. She looked at the stars. The galaxy learned something important. What's that? Evan asked. She met his eyes, her voice calm and strong. Never underestimate a species that chooses kindness over fear. The ship engines hummed quietly in the distance, ready for the next journey. Because this was not the end. It was the beginning of a new chapter, where humans were no longer seen as weak, and monsters were no longer born from hunger, but from misunderstanding. And in the vast darkness of space, a simple human choice had become a legend.